Hello, Funjelah listeners and watchers on YouTube. We have another great episode for you today. My guest for this episode is the lovely, the talented, my very good friend, Diana Marie Riva. She is such a talented actress. You may recognize her from playing my mom on a little movie called Our Family Wedding, where we had the Black family and the Latino family marry into each other and all the crazy things that happen. It was such a fun movie. Forrest Whitaker, Lance Gross, Regina King, myself, Diana Riva, America Ferrera, Carlos Mencia. Such a good movie. Years ago. I was young, y'all. She was playing my mom, even though we talk about she's definitely not old enough to play my mom. But she played my mom in this, and you may recognize her from Dead to Me on Netflix, telenovela, Gordita Chronicles, Man with a Plan with Matt LeBlanc. She was on that show. She's just very super talented all around. And we get into this episode, her gratitude for her family, finding her partner in her late 40s, and we kind of touch on how her matitude ties into her gratitude, how sometimes hearing no can be a blessing in disguise, and we get into all of that. It's such a good episode, so many great moments, and I'm so grateful for jumping on. So take a listen to that. And before we jump into that, don't forget, I'm on the road right now. This weekend I'm going to be in Louisville.
Yes.
I'll be in Louisville this weekend. After that, I'll be in
Huntsville,
Alabama, and then Connecticut.
Yes.
Hartford, Connecticut. So you can get tickets on Anjelah.com. Come and see me out on the road. Also, if you've been listening to my podcast and you've been enjoying it, leave me a review. Go on Apple and leave me a review. Give me some stars. Tell other people why they should be listening to my podcast as well. And go leave me a comment on YouTube. Go follow Funjelah on Instagram, on TikTok, and just help me get the word out about Funjelah podcast, because we're out here every other Tuesday raising vibrations, putting gratitude out into the world, just doing what we do. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And here is another episode of Funjelah. First of all, I'm so grateful that you said yes to come and be on my podcast. And I love you so much. And I know you very well, but to get everybody listening and watching acquainted with all the greatness that is Diana Marie Riva.
She got it right. All of them. She's pronounced my name right.
I cannot say just one name.
She rolled her R's, and she stopped at Riva. She didn't go on to Rivera.
No.
She didn't add the Rivas.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing
That's
how many
funny.
people just don't want to stop after the 4 letters. They want to keep on going.
I get, they try to put extra on my name because it's spelled so weird, so they try to make it real ethnic, and I go, oh no, it's just Anjelah.
Yes. Including myself.
Yeah. They're like,
including myself when we first started working together I was the only fool walking around for the first 3 weeks of production on Our Family Wedding calling you Angelica, and you didn't say anything. You didn't stop me. You didn't correct me, and everybody probably noticed, and I was like, I am the only fool walking around here calling this girl Angelica. Put you in my phone that way and everything.
No. That's so funny. So Diana played my mom in a movie called Our Family Wedding, even though she really would have been 8 years old when she gave birth to me. But that's like Hollywood math.
That is Hollywood math,
how they say
magic.
Girl math, this is Hollywood math.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll make you young hip mom, and your daughter, you were 8 years old when you had her.
She was young.
So then, so we played family on Our Family Wedding, had the best time, became such good friends, and then you became my acting coach. And you were the person that I would call anytime I got an audition, and especially if it was a big one, I'd be like, no, I gotta go sit down with Diana, and she's gonna help me see things in the script that I'm clearly not seeing, and every time you would. And so our relationship started co-stars to friends to acting coach, and you are just somebody that I just love so much. Not only just in this industry, I watch your work. Let me tell you guys, Diana books. Okay? But if she auditions for something, she probably gonna book it, is what it is. I hear more no than yes. I don't know what it's like living in this chair over here. Okay. She gonna book it. Now, if the show goes all the way, that's a different story. That is not in her hands. But if she's auditioning for it, guarantee you, she gonna book it. Anyways, I love you so much.
I love you.
We've worked together. We've hung out together. And we have so much to be grateful for. But before we get to that, there's always something that we can complain about, be annoyed with. There's something that we could go, ugh. What is that thing for you these days?
You know, first of all, I can't, like, after that introduction, not say how much I love you.
Oh, thank you.
I love you.
Everybody listen up.
Yes. My turn. You were a gift that came out of nowhere into my life. And you never know when you go to work on a project who your relationship is going to continue with, because it's not a normal setting. The environment and being in the trenches with other actors, you may get along great, but you don't have enough in common in your personal life that you just develop friendships or whatever, any kind of relationship. So I wasn't surprised that our friendship just blossomed from our family wedding, because you were so joyously, enthusiastically happy for that job. It was a big deal. It was a big role, and you dove into it head first. You were humble and curious and funny, and I just fell in love with you from that minute. So
I miss her.
Welcome to motherhood. By the way, this is your destiny right here. You're looking at it right here. And it's been a glorious journey having you as my hermana. And you are, I look up to you, and I admire your work, and I admire what you've done, and I admire you as a mother. I see you. I see what you're doing with your little Rosie, who I just met. She's so darling.
Thank you
I
so
love
much.
it. I love you. So thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. And it is a question that you ask. It's interesting that you posed that question of what did you call it?
Your matitude.
Your matitude today, because it is ever changing.
Uh-huh.
Especially in this town, especially in this industry of art for commerce.
Uh-huh. Art for commerce. Sheesh.
I think that today, I will say this. I did a pilot recently, and I just found out yesterday that it didn't get picked up. Ugh. And I found out there's not a lot of clarity as to why. You want some real black and white answer, and it's not really there. And then you find out like what they are picking up on, and then you just go back into this place of like, okay, but why not? Why not? This was a diverse cast. Why not this show? This was a funny cast with a lot of good pedigree. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the other leading actors that were in it, the executive producers, the director, James Burrows. Like this was pedigree through the roof. Why not?
Yeah.
And it's a love-hate relationship. I used to say that I quit this business probably 11 times a year. 11 times a year. I'm like, I'm done. Bye. Moving.
Yeah.
And then what brings me back is that I refuse to allow it to dictate my talent. That I believe in my heart that I have. So I get mad when something happens that tries to indicate to me that I don't have enough talent to do this or lead this. And it isn't just about that, but this industry will have you believe it.
Yeah.
Or it, at minimum, it'll spark your thinking in that way. So I get mad that the same stuff gets put on TV over and over again, and they don't want to see something a little different. That gives me a matitude.
Yes, honey. I mean, you said so many things right now that I'm just like, yep, definitely. And especially when, for those who are listening, watching, not have anything to do with this entertainment industry, when you book a pilot, when you audition for something, right? You have this opportunity and then you book it. It's like all your dreams, the things that you've been working hard towards, it's like this little match gets lit inside of you, this little flame of hope, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, yes. And then you start dreaming bigger about like the longevity of your character, like where the story could go, all the things that could happen with this show, with this opportunity. And you're like, okay, yes, I booked this thing. And then you get to film it, and then you're on set and you see the chemistry that you have with these different actors, with these different people, with a different character. You see how much the audience loves it. You see how much all the feedback you're getting from executives, from producers, and
From
you're
the
like,
audience.
oh my gosh, this could be it. This could be the next hit. This could be the next fill in the blank, right? Especially thinking about the lead actor in the show that he just came from. That was a hit for years and years and years. You're like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, did I just jump on board to the next hit? And it's all these little things that start getting you inspired, getting you hopeful, getting you excited, and you start thinking about like the diversity. Oh my God, this will be something new and fresh for people to see. Like, this is so exciting. And then when you get that, no, it's not moving forward. It's not just like, darn, we didn't get it. It's all of those emotions that you just took a risk on feeling. You took a risk on feeling vulnerable. You took a risk on dreaming bigger. You took that risk and you held out this little vulnerability in your hands. You're like, okay, we could do it. And then they just like pour cold water all over it. And they're like, no, you're not.
Never
And
mind.
it's like soul crushing when you hear that no. And like I joked earlier about, listen, if Gianna's going to audition for it, she going to book it. Of course, there's times where she doesn't book it.
Right.
And you have been blessed to book a lot of things. And then these pilots, sometimes they don't go. And it's the same thing over and over. Like, I'm ready. I'm not ready. I'm ready. They're not ready. Whatever it is. And it's so hard. It really is a tough position to be in. And you just got that news yesterday. So I feel you, girl. I'm going to jump on board with that Maditude. And I am mad for you and mad with you.
Thank you. It came off of an epic weekend, too. So that's just like, it was my birthday, which you were unable to make.
I
You missed it,
know.
but I brought you party favors.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And so it was an epic weekend of so much euphoria and joy, like true euphoria and joy. And literally the morning after, it's like, bam. And that's just as a human. And people, I understand when people say like, well, you got into this business, you know what it's like. Yes, I know. You're right.
Yeah.
And it's been good to me. I've been out here for almost 30 years now. So it doesn't, you can put yourself in any workplace. You're in a workplace where you go and you pitch your idea, your project, your presentation, your how you want to reorganize the one room that you all meet in, whatever it is. And they ask you, go ahead and put all that effort into it and see what happens. And you spend all your time organizing, reorganizing, pitching, practicing, whatever whatever it is, whatever that you're going to deliver to your bosses. And after all that time and investment, they come in and they say, no, never mind. And that's just, I think for any human, it doesn't matter if it's the entertainment industry, it's just a letdown. And it gets you mad.
Yeah, definitely. Rightfully so. You know what? Let's leave that Maditude. We just got it out of our body.
Yes.
Let's let it leave our body and let's move into gratitude. And the premise behind this podcast of what we do is gratitude has been one of my tools that I have used in my mental health journey and battling my anxiety or whatever it may be that I'm dealing with at the time, intrusive thoughts, depression, like whatever it is, gratitude is the thing that has helped me the most. And what I believe it does is raises your vibration. So if you're sitting here in a low vibration frequency feeling, anger, depression, anxiety, and you're sitting real low, when you move into gratitude, you start practicing gratitude. You say the thing that you're grateful for out loud so you can hear yourself say it. And it's like this big circle of gratitude coming in and out of your body. And you're slowly raising your vibration to this higher place so you can operate from this frequency that's up here where gratitude lives. Gratitude lives up here, and you start attracting more things into your life that are on this frequency. So gratitude has been my tool that I use. And we would go around in my green room. We would say 5 things that we're grateful for anytime I was feeling anxious before a show, or I can see maybe my road manager is anxious. The merchandise didn't show up, and now she's having to put out all these fires and figure it all out. Anxiety, frustration, anger. Our energy is weird. Sometimes you can walk in a room and feel like, ooh, something's going on in here, you know? And that's when we start practicing our gratitude and shifting that energy and shifting the mood. And that's the whole premise of this podcast, is to put those good vibes out there to everybody who's listening and with us right here. So let's jump right in. And I would love to know, what is something that you are grateful for?
I mean, I think it's interesting that this date to come here and do this podcast with you happening the day after is a real blessing. And it was perfectly timed. Yeah. Because I even said to my partner this morning, I have so much to do, and I have so many good things that I need to continue to nurture and foster and pay attention to. But and I'm not one to get stuck, but I'm feeling like I can't move right now. I want to just go be angry or crawl in bed, and I need a recharge. This is a lovely opportunity for me to just recenter and recharge.
Oh, that's awesome.
I definitely recognize that the fact that I keep getting called in for these glorious roles brings me so much gratitude, because I've gotten, as you so generously described, I've gotten many, many, many of these roles, and those roles as a single parent has put a roof over my head and put my 2 children through high school and college. And at night, I can lock my door and I'm in a safe little house. Yeah. And when it's hot outside, I can walk in my house and I have air conditioning and I have food on the table. And so that must mean that I've gotten enough work, even though there's things that I want to do that I feel like I haven't been able to do yet. I haven't gotten the opportunity to do. I've done enough that has allowed me to really live a lovely little life with my family taken care of. And I signed up to be a mother, and that's the biggest gift of gratitude that I have in my life, that I was blessed to have 2 beautiful children. And as a single mama for many, many years, financially, physically, and the whole 9, I was able to get them to this point. Yeah. And I'm super grateful that I have been able to have a career that was big enough to keep me financed and housed and taken care of and fulfilling, because I'm artistic. And so and at the same time, it never was such a big career that it kept me away from being present to my children. So I have not missed out on one moment in their lives. And I am so grateful for the fact that what I have accomplished in this business has been in balance with fulfilling my soul's desire of raising these children and seeing them just become 2 beautiful young adults. And I have to call
Which they are stunning. Oh my God, your children are gorgeous.
I look at them around and I'm like, you are welcome. Yeah. You are welcome.
You're welcome.
Yes. You did not hit any ugly branch on the way down from that trip. I feel that is absolutely, it's not often that you can say that in this town. First of all, it's hard to just survive on this business. It's hard to survive and be present to a family and take care of your family financially with this business, and even economic, with time, you're gone filming, and somehow the decisions that have fallen onto my lap have been so in harmony with life that if I kept my living very modest, so that if I had 7, 8, 9 months off of working, my modest living allowed me to go choreograph the school play, to go organize the Christmas function at the elementary school, whatever. So I will never regret that. I will never regret all the shows that I didn't get or the 2nd or 3rd season that eluded me, because I was available to be the parent and the family person that I wanted to be. So I will forever, forever be grateful.
Isn't that such a wild balance of life, where you're in this position as a dreamer, and then our human tendency is to want more, to want the top, right? Like you achieve something and then you're like, okay, but what's next? Okay, but what else? What's bigger? Whatever that may be, like that temptation to want more, right? And like you were talking about, like that second and third season,
Mm-hmm.
or like this show to get picked up, or this movie, or whatever,
Right.
you know, we're working towards, right? And it's like more money, more problems, you know what I mean? But it's the more yes you would have received
Mm-hmm.
here, the more no you have to put out here,
Mm-hmm.
right? The more yes you booked it. Yes, come on, let's go to New Mexico and film it.
Yep.
Come on, let's go. You're in New York now. You got to relocate. Come on, all of this, and now it's no. Sorry, I can't come to your football game, or sorry, you can't join the football team because we're relocating to New York, or whatever
Right.
position you're in. The more yes you receive here, the more no you put out here. And that fine balance that sometimes we consciously choose, and sometimes God chooses it for us.
Yes.
And it's so hard to see in that moment, that disappointment of like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it. I worked so hard for it, to see the bigger picture of what's happening in the background of how this is actually going to be a blessing down the line.
Yes.
Oh, that's such a good
and then
point.
you know what? I've been in this long enough that I already know. Like last night, I was like, I'm not going to remember this on my deathbed.
Uh-huh.
I won't remember the fact that the show. You know what I will remember? The party that was so beautifully fun, and I received so much love from my family.
Let's
Loved
talk
ones. I'll
about
remember that. But I will say that I did get to. I was at a point when I became a single parent. My kids were fairly young. They were young. And I told my team, I will not be taking any work out of town. I have to be here and be present and available to them because it's all me. And I don't remember what opportunities I missed out on. There were plenty. There was one that's something that shot in Australia. There's something, whatever. I don't remember what the shows are. I don't even know if the shows even. I don't know anything. I don't because it doesn't matter. You know why? Work always appeared.
Yeah.
I was always provided for, and then I see where my children are now. I'm like, I made not one mistake in that journey.
Bless.
It's paid off.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to say that I'm not saying I get belligerent with my higher power, but when I have those moments where things are looking a little like skinny or like, it's been a little too long without booking something, I'll look to my higher power and belligerently say, you figure it out. You put me here. You gave me this talent. You set me up this way. I have been very respectful. So you clearly have a plan. So figure it out. And I get very belligerent. And that's my surrendering.
I love that.
Figure it out. I get that angry. I literally look to the sky and say, figure it out. And then, believe it or not, something like pops up like, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate your timeliness, you know, whatever. And something gets worked out, and I have no regrets for the yeses and the nos because I don't even remember what the nos were. I just know the biggest one I made was the right one, and it's paid off.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
And we make those decisions in life. We have to. It's every day, and no matter what, you know, what business or career you're in, you have to decide where you want the balance in your life and what your priority is, and then really hope for the best.
And I feel like that shifts throughout your journey as well.
Agreed.
You know, and like, for instance, for me in my life, I didn't have a child before. I didn't have to worry about like, oh, I can't take things too far out of the country, whatever. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, oh, I have a child who eventually will be old enough to be in school and get involved in sports, maybe, if she wants to do that.
That's a thing, by the way.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
I had 2 kids in varsity sports. It's such a commitment. But yes, you're right.
Yeah, like that is something that I will have to learn to balance moving forward. God willing, I get some opportunities to do that. That would be great if you're listening, Hollywood. I
Figure it
really
out.
Appreciate it.
Figure it out.
You know what? Figure it out. Until then, I'll be on the road doing stand-up.
Which we all love and adore
thank you.
and need.
Thank you mucho. Thank you mucho. I hope that your birthday party is one of your gratitudes that you're going to talk about today, because I have a lot of questions that I want to ask about it, but I hope it's one of your gratitudes. But
Yes.
I'll let you decide. Continue.
Yes,
What else?
I will. Because I'll tell you, my whole family is either in Ohio, Boston, and the Dominican Republic. So I'm out here with limited, family. To have a party that I didn't want to have it. It was like I was like, well, I lie. I did want to have it, and then I got cold feet. I'm like, I don't want to have it.
Yeah.
I don't think I need.
Why did you not want to have it?
That's an excellent question. I don't know if the idea of all that attention suddenly felt gratuitous to me, but it had been such a big year. And I'll get into another gratitude with why the big year of a lot of growth and a lot of connection and work that I did, that I put out there of finding greater and higher purpose of myself, not just my business, but then married the two agendas. And with that came a lot of connecting with people I already knew in this town, but I didn't know as well, or people I didn't know and I finally got to meet. And I thought, I'm going to celebrate that because it was a celebrated thing. And then I got cold feet. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Maybe people won't show up. And I had a circle of girlfriends that are like, you can just hush your face.
Yep.
We're going to do this. And it ended up being extraordinary. It was a Studio 54 theme, minus the debauchery. And everybody understood the assignment. They came completely dressed back in time.
Love it.
The nightclub that we had in was the Queensberry. If you are in LA and you ever want to go to like just a throwback in time,
how fun.
it's just gorgeous. And it was right out of the pages of Saturday Night Fever. For all you young people, look it up, John Travolta. And it was Google. It was, everybody showed up in costume. Everybody showed up and danced, and everybody showed up and was joyous. And that was the greatest gift. If I can gather people and they can have a good time, that's all I need. Yeah. And that was to not have my mom and dad here. They're in, in another state, and my sisters as well. I felt like I was drowning and surrounded by loving family of 180 of my closest.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's
and
so many people, and I love that.
And it was not like, hi, how are you? Like, we celebrated. Yeah. It was a celebration, and everyone participated in the dancing and the they just had a good time. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful that I gave it to myself to just allow myself to experience it, because I don't think we do that enough. Yeah. I think we get caught up in life or whatever, another birthday, whatever, but I say every few years, do something big. Go ahead and do something big and celebrate you. Your closest friends will come and help you make it happen. And I think it's good for the soul. Yeah. And that opened me up to, that was in connection with another thing that I did this year that I'm very grateful for, which is a platform that I co-created with called Latinas Acting Up.
Yes, tell everyone.
Latinas Acting Up was an idea that I had during the Writers Guild strike back in the summer of 2023. And I was out there on the picket lines with them, and I saw them and all their themes, and they were very organized. And I knew that SAG-AFTRA, our union for the actors, they were up next, that we were going to go on strike. And I thought, we can't roll over. We have to hold our ground. And I was very dedicated and committed to being active on the front line. And I was like, okay, well, the writers, they know what they're doing. They've got their stuff together. They're gonna what themes? Okay, I'll do a theme. What do I know? Latinas. I know Latinas. Like, that's as creative as I know Latinas. That's it. So I was like, okay, I'll start a group of Latina actresses to get together, and we'll call it Latinas Acting Up. Right? Yes. Cool. Okay. And then I created a logo and had t-shirts made, and then reached out to actress Lisa Vidal, and I said, I'm going to start this group, and I've organized our first picket. Do you want to come join me and help me kind of, roll with this? And Lisa knows everybody in town, and everybody knows Lisa. So we sent out some big mass email and said, hey, organize picket, Warner Brothers, 1:00 Friday. We get there, and there were about 70, 80 women there, all waiting for their t-shirts. And I'm like, who are all these people? And they were predominantly young women in the industry that I didn't even know. Latinas that we didn't know.
That next generation. And it was of all ages, of all stages of their career. That I had started an Instagram page. So somehow the word got out that I had organized this day. And it became very clear within
2 weeks time
Yeah.
that they were showing up week after week. We picketed every Friday. They were showing up and they were just they were just so invested, and they were relying on the community with each other. They were leaning on each other. They were meeting each other, getting to know each other. And then we just became a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
We were being singled out in the papers, in the trades every week.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to me. I noticed that no matter what the article was about, it was always strike related. But if the strike was about, some studio losing already $500 million that week, it was a picture of all of us. It was about this studio exec saying something. It was a picture of us going, whatever. And we were out there. We were doing our flash dances during Hispanic Heritage Month. We wore our flag, our bandera from our either our country or our family's country of origin, and it was a beautiful sight. And we got a ton of attention. And as I saw how often we were in the trades, front page, all these Latina faces, I thought, boy, I wish this were indicative of how often we were cast.
Say it.
In leading, co-leading roles, leading films. It was real. I'm like, oh, you're paying attention to us now when we're organized and when we're solid with each other. And that is the one element in the Latino community, the Latinx community, that needs to be continuously nurtured. We have to stand together. We may not all agree on how casting looks like. We may not all agree on who played what role in the Latino community. We can be like a proper Latin family and fight about that at home, but in public, we're just a solid front. Stop saying shit. We'll fight about it later. And we have to just, because otherwise that solidarity is, and that's what we presented when we were picketing: solidarity, unity, strength, power. And they couldn't take their eyes off of us. So that told me this needs to become something more. So Lisa and I talked about it and said, these women, these young women, especially in this town, Lisa and I are mothers. We've both been in the business for many, many years, and we could see the emotional and spiritual need that Latinas in the industry, in front of and behind the camera, needed this group, and how, with the agenda to raise our visibility within the industry, was needed, that the group was also important. So we turned Latinas Acting Up into an official platform and just celebrated our 1-year anniversary, the day before my birthday, actually, and it was. It's been and now we have a membership now. We have online, we have an online hub where all the young women can connect, network. We promote each other's stuff. We announce that we're going to be doing a show here, there, or everywhere. Aida Rodriguez just said, I need people to come to my stand-up at the Laugh Factory, I think it was recently. All the girls, 15 girls showed up for that. Like, we go around, we help support each other.
I love that.
And it was, I got an event. I need a size 10 dress. Anybody got anything? Yep.
Oh,
Here we go.
I love that.
Yes. We recycle stuff with each other. We network, we bond.
The community.
It's a community. And I am forever grateful about that.
I love that. That is something that we don't actively think about, that we think we need, especially in an industry where we're competing against each other.
The industry segregates us, pits us against each other, and isolates us. It's like Gina Torres, you all know her from Suits and a billion other things. She's on our board. I just got to know her through this. I've been in this town this long. She has too. She's worked on everything. And she got to know more Latina actresses through this as well, because, as she said, the industry has kept her away from Latinas often in the work world. And we need each other. And this is another reason why I'm so grateful for it, because I do think that it made me dive deeper to bring out another version of myself that serves a higher purpose. This industry can get you any job that you're consumed with or you're hustling can get you really out of living in the present. And all of a sudden, you're like me in my 50s, and last year was the first time I had ever gone to Europe. First time. And my entire family have gone. My children have gone. I just have never had. I have been hustling since the moment I got out of college. And it's okay if you've never gone to Europe, but I also had time and didn't, because I always felt there was something else I had to answer to. And I don't want the end of my days to come thinking that I lived just chained to this industry. I like the industry. It ain't my partner.
Right.
But I like being creative in it. But that's not what I want. I want to do something more. Latinas Acting Up made me feel like I was finally, now as an empty nester, and I don't have the day-to-day responsibility of my children, I have more time to dive and dig deeper and figure out what can I bring to this universe that's palpable, that's a little bit more community-oriented and not just Emmy Award or whatever.
Sure. Giving back.
Yes. Giving
uplifting.
back. Yes.
Creating some sort of infrastructure that others can then take and grow and build and make it something that's long lasting.
Yep.
Because I'm sure there's so many things that like pop up here and there, like with great intentions, but then it like fizzles out.
Yeah.
And I hope that Latinas Acting Up can be something that just grows and grows and allows this community to like stay connected and strong and teach us how to uplift each other, how to make room for each other, how to understand that there's room at the table for all of us.
That's a big one.
You know, because there's times like you played my mom in a movie, but then there's been so many auditions where I go to sign in and there's your name right there. Like I was like, oh, we're auditioning for the same role. Well, all right. Should I even audition now? You know?
And they do. It's crazy. Yeah.
So many times. I had Camille Guadi on my first episode and she was my first guest. And we talked about this one audition where it was me, her, Angelique Cabral, Nadine Velasquez. Was it just us? I think. But it was one of those moments where it's like, if there's a audition for a Latina, we're gonna be there.
Yes.
You're definitely gonna see these faces there. And it was at that we were so young. We were like, it was like a 20-something-year-old role, you know. And it's so funny because I remember going out for those roles and then getting the switch of like young mom role. And I'm like, wait, I'm not college co-ed anymore? Hold on.
Yes.
Stand by. What do you mean soccer mom? Like, what does that mean? But I hope that Latinas Acting Up can just continue to grow and strengthen and unify. And it's something that we definitely need in our community for sure. So I'm so grateful for you for starting it, honey.
Thank you. I also think it just goes back to something that I'm very grateful for how I was raised. I'm the oldest of 3 daughters, and my mother raised us to remember that women need to know how to be good women to other women.
Say that.
I'll say it again. Women need to know how to be good women to other women. Because at the end of the day, I feel like that's all you have. You have to know your own. Yeah. And I think that this is just a group that nurtures that. You especially in any business that's competitive. Yeah. You may not all get along. You may not all have the same beliefs, but at least be respectful and supportive. And try to keep your ego in check. Right. So I do feel that if it's a group that supports other women, I feel like you can't lose with that. I think that's in this world and what we're faced with, the unfairness and the inequality for women that still exists, that in many ways people will say is going backwards. It's important. Yeah.
Amen.
I'm proud of that.
What else are you grateful for?
I mean,
so many things.
So many things. I am grateful for my health. Yeah. I think that I got COVID, and I got it the December of 2020. So we were like 10 months into it. We weren't new at it at that moment. When I got it, I'd never get sick, never get the flu, never get colds last a minute, whatever. Very rare. And I got it bad. I got it really badly. And I was at my parents' house, and it was over the holidays. And I ended up spending the entire New Year's, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day up in a furnished attic for 12 days. Wow. On day 13, I was feeling better. And my doctor that I was on the phone with, because he was out here, said I could go downstairs and be with the family now. And I was very weak. And that on day 13 is when I started developing breathing problems. Oh, no. Respiratory issues. And he said, I need you to go to the emergency room. Oh, no. So we were out in Indiana, where my parents live, and we went to an emergency room. And my son, who was 20 at the time, and my daughter, who was 17 at the time, are in the car with me. She decides to drive along with us. And I'm thinking I'm going to get there and it's going to be like a 7-hour wait like it was here in LA. But they were over it at that point and there was nobody. But when we pulled up to the emergency room doors, all we had heard at that point, 10 months into COVID, is that once you go into the hospital, it's like likely you may not be coming out when you develop respiratory issues. And as a single mom, everything that I had ever... Oh, Anjelah, I was in the passenger seat. My son is driving. My daughter's in the back. And I look at the emergency room doors and I was paralyzed. I couldn't get out of the car because I feared that if I walked through those doors, I'm not coming back out. And I was with the two most important things of my life and did not want them to be without their mother. Yeah. And I'm so dramatic. I turned to my son and I said, you take custody of your sister. And he goes, shut up. Why would you say that? And I'm like, that's all I could get out. All I started thinking is like, I'm not going to come out. And if I do come out and I need Sophie to be looked after and whatever. And my daughter, who's so me, gets out of the car. She goes, oh, no. Okay. No, let's go. She gets out of the backseat of the car. She opens the passenger. She's like, come on, let's go. She's like, you're going to go in there. You're going to see what's going on. You're going to get what you need. We're not leaving the parking lot. We're going to go get some McDonald's and then we're going to come back. We're going to sit here. We're going to eat it. And then we're going to come back and we're going to take you home. And she was just so adamant. She definitely my daughter. Yeah. Bullet point. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'll do that. Okay. And he's like, let's go. We're waiting. We're going to be in the parking lot. We're going to wait. And I went in there. They took amazing care. I did have COVID pneumonia in both lungs. Wow. And again, I'm fit. I work out. I run. This was like, I was an atypical case. And that's just what happened. But they told me what I needed to do. And they sent me home about an hour and a half later. And the most glorious moments of my life was walking out of those doors of that emergency room. And my daughter's like, I told you, I don't even know why you were like, go. And I was like, it's just a mom. It's the mom thinking of you live to make sure that your children are going to be okay. So I recovered 100%. I had no, I'm very grateful to say that I had no lasting effects. And with that scary of a moment, there was never once that I haven't stopped just giving gratitude for my health.
Yep. That's wild. That was such a scary time when it was like the word on the streets was if you go in, you most likely not coming out. Yeah. And my dad got it. He got sick and refused. He's like, I'm not going to go to a hospital, but I don't live by him. So I'm like, okay, well, are your lips purple? Like, are your, you know what I mean? Like asking all the questions. And eventually he stayed in a hotel for like a week and I'm like post-meeting him like juices and like vitamin C, vitamin D, anything I can get him to take. And eventually he, came out of it great, but he was like, if it comes to it, I'm not going to a hospital. And I was like, okay, I get it, but also go to a hospital if you need to. Like, don't die in a hotel room, please.
Oh gosh.
Like, just what a scary time that was. So I can totally visualize what the weight was on you being a single mom, having your 2 kids, and like going through all the things, like your verbal will and testament that you're leaving behind. And
my poor
like,
son.
No,
he's so like, he's not an outburst kind of person. He's so he's such a gentleman. And he just looked at me horrified, like, what are we doing here? I know. I listen. I have a little bit of a history of like attacking things from a little bit of a melodramatic. So yeah, I know. Exactly.
Which is why you book as many roles as you do.
I'm not gonna tell you my secret sauce, but it could be related to that. Yeah, totally. And so when all of that is on the line, I mean, everybody's life is precious. And then when you add to it, but I have other lives that are dependent on mine and that's all you can do is walk away from that, just not taking anything for granted in your life, in your health and the body that you have. So when I start to go to critique my body, I have to follow it up in my head with something. And I'm not great with this, but I keep telling myself, if I say, you know, I just don't like my weight and where it's at, I am so grateful of how strong I am, because I am truly one strong bitch. This I know.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I am. Let's talk about that for a minute. Like accepting, not just accepting our bodies, but saying mean things to ourselves.
Yeah.
I think you just struck a chord with me right now.
Okay.
Because last night, full transparency, I was being very mean to myself. Like, I'm getting a little emotional right now thinking about it. So hearing you say this right now really is like a good reminder to me, you know, as we're aging and getting older. And even, sure, I may not be as old as this person in this range, and like, oh girl, you're young still, sure. But I'm transitioning from here to here, and this transition is difficult. Yeah. And I took a video of myself that was just for me. It was giving my daughter a bath. It was just me and her. Manny was out at the movies. We didn't have childcare or anything. It's just me and Rosie. And I was giving her a bath, and I set up my phone so I can remember this moment, giving my daughter a bath. And I put her to bed, and then I went to go watch the video, and I was just being so mean to myself. Just like what I look like and my face and just all the things that I'm like, oh my God, I need lashes. Oh my God, my chin. Oh my God, why is my nose so that? All these things, just flooding myself with these negative, awful things to say. And I'm like, stop. Be kind to yourself. Be gracious. And it was really hard to get out of that. And so just hearing you say that right now, I feel like I'm convicted, and also like, yeah, be kind.
Absolutely.
Be gentle with yourself.
Absolutely. You are, I think once we become, you know, listen, there's so many factors that just attack us. Yeah. And feelings are not facts. So
hey, say that again.
What you feel does not mean that it is a fact. So take it with a grain of salt. And you are not expected to be perfect and not criticize. Like, I'll see parts of my body, but we do need to remember that self-love, because I promise you, in 5 years from now, you'll look back at that video and you won't see anything that you felt you saw. Yeah. Because you're going to say, look at me now. I've got this, that, and the other. So your future Anjelah has to look at today's Anjelah and say, darling, I love you. And you are beautiful all the time, no matter what. Yeah. Because we'll continue to find new issues with ourselves. And the worst thing, here's the thing, like, even I'm the mother of a son and daughter, and I would tell them both, but in particular our daughters, you would never want her to talk about herself that way. No. And your daughter would never want to hear her mommy talk to herself that way. You're going to find Rosie, she's going to grow up and she's going to be very protective of you. And she's going to be a caretaker, and she's going to want to make sure mommy's okay. My daughter's very much like that. And she wasn't a very expressive child, like, you know, with being demonstrative or whatever, but it was always in her heart and soul. And my daughter looks out for me, and she makes sure that I'm being kind to myself. And Rosie's going to do that with you. But they learn it from us, you know, because of how much we take care of them. Yeah. And we will have our days, but those feelings are not facts. It's passing and it's fleeting. Yeah. And it's not a fact. And it is imperative, if we are in the presence of someone who's learning from us, that they see how much we love each other. Yeah. So my daughter doesn't look much like me. She doesn't have my texture hair. I definitely didn't look as cute as she did when she was this age. But I do take care of myself, and she sees me taking care of myself. But the minute I do say something that's a little slightly self-deprecating, she's the first one to come and run defense on my own thoughts. And I don't want her to have to take care of me in that way. Yeah. I want to do that myself, because I want her to be able to do it for herself too. Yeah. Yeah. She may not have a daughter that does that. And we don't want to rely on anybody else telling us we look good, even though my partner tells me all the time. Yeah. And it is just all of that comes into this time of life as a mother, as a woman, as a partner, that we'll doubt and question ourselves. And it is imperative that you believe that you are beautiful, even when those tears are there. And it's okay to have them. Just don't believe that feeling is fact.
Yeah.
It's just, it's too high of a price to pay.
It's a bumper sticker right there.
I'd love to say I came up with it, but I didn't.
I need to look at my face really quick because I forgot I put mascara on, and then I did not. Yep. I did not expect to start crying, although I should have, because I invited Diana Riva to come on to my show, so I should have expected.
It's a harsh thing. It's
tears.
It's a harsh thing to come down on yourself. I did that recently. I don't remember what it was, that I saw a picture of myself, and all these thoughts came to my head that were very negative. And then I started crying, and it wasn't because of how I looked. I started crying because I thought I was being so mean to me. And I did have an exercise once that I was told to look in the mirror and say the loving things back in return. And you know what else helps is, like, I will record myself saying something loving and kind, and I'll play it back. And then I was like, damn right, girl. Like, I just I hear myself, and it affirms me. Yeah. Those little things that just needs to run defense and keep those criticisms in place and check.
Thank you. Well, thank you for even sharing that, because that definitely struck a chord with me and probably somebody listening as well.
Oh, I hope.
We need to be kind to ourselves. I mean, we're our toughest critic. We see things that other people don't, you know. Yeah. And
in an age of compare and contrast, we have it all up in our faces.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But somebody who was at my party the other day, I texted them and I said, there are so many beautiful pictures of you, because there was a wonderful photographer that went around taking amazing shots. And she even wrote me back and said, you know, I'm just trying to learn how to love myself again. And that just opened a door of, like, and why wouldn't you? Everybody has their reason as to why or why not. And all I could tell her was, like, oh, please do. You are so worth it. You are so worth it. It was so worth it. And we have, you know, my karate master used to say to me, just bring your body, your mind will show up. So wherever it is that you don't want to go, but you need to go, just bring your body there. Your mind will show up. So even walking through something like this, just continue to be good to your body. Keep treating it well. Keep giving it care. Your mind will show up.
Amen. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
You've said some really great gratefuls. These are all so wonderful. Do you have any other gratefuls you would like to contribute, to throw out into the universe, to raise our vibration?
Of course. I am not alone in this life. I have, and there's nothing wrong with being alone, meaning, like, my heart is filled with a lot of love. And I have that in my two wonderful children. And I have that with my family, my sisters, my nieces and nephew. And I have that with my partner. Yeah. I met him a couple of years ago, and that was a journey in life where I, you know, once I became single, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just ride this out for a minute. I don't think I'm gonna revisit anything right now. And it was also just the decision that I had made, being a single parent. I wasn't gonna have, like, a revolving door of gentlemen callers.
Yeah, right.
So, and I thought it was.
You weren't going to be that episode. We've seen that episode many times.
Don't need it. And I just put it out there that I'm just going to take care of my kids and get them to where they needed to be. They needed my full attention and balancing my career, and it was the right thing to do. And then suddenly, when my daughter was getting ready, she's the youngest, she was getting ready to go off to college. I thought, you know what? Fine. I'll try this dating thing. You know, here I am, 50, and in Los Angeles, and in the public eye. Yeah. That's just the trifecta of a lot of junk.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yes. And I don't know if anybody out there is like, I think dating from 40 and up, I think is hard.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm like, I'm not clubbing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to bar hop.
Right.
You know, like I have things that I'll do. I do a lot of things for fun, but that's not what I'm doing. So I didn't know the pool of where I was going to meet somebody. So I lost a bet with a girlfriend, and she told me if you lose a bet, you got to go on online dating. And I was like, God, okay, fine. So I did, and I signed up, and I have to say, like, at first it was like, okay, actually, I'm getting some very nice messages from a lot of gentlemen that maybe they're not my type, but they're absolutely viable men. And that made me feel a little better. I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. And then of course I'm a little bit of a control freak. I'm like, you know what? I know what I want. I'll just look. Hold on. I'll reach out. You don't need to reach out to me. I'll reach out. I'll let you know. And I came across this page of this man, and I like started reading his stuff, and it was connected to his Instagram. So I would look at his Instagram stuff, and I was totally like scrolling. And there was a lot of stuff that started to make me giggle and then laugh and then just kind of smile. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I left, and then a couple of days later, I'm like, you know what? Let me just go back. Let me
Look
just
at that one guy again.
That one guy again. Now something else I find on his Instagram that made me laugh and da 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 and this and that. And then one day, I found a video of his that he had put together that just made me scream laughing. I was like, okay, he's very funny.
At this point, you hadn't messaged each other. He's not even on. You're not on his radar, so it's not like you just.
Well, I
found
thought
him
I
stuff.
wasn't on his radar. I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Too.
Okay, I can't wait.
But no, he was. We were not. We had not connected, and I finally just said, you know, I'm going to say something because I ain't got time to waste. I mean,
right.
I don't need to date multiple men. I'm not doing it. I'm not. 22. I don't need to swirl the toilet bowl. Okay, is what I like to say. Let's be done with this. So I finally said something about he had done some artwork during COVID, and I said something about his artwork, and he finally responded, and we got into texting on the app, and we messaged, and he was making me laugh, and we were talking back and forth, and he was a good conversationalist. I could tell that he was wonderful at dialoguing. And then at one point we exchanged numbers, so we kept texting, and then finally after what felt like 2 weeks, and we argued because he says it was only a week, but we were texting all day, all night. He says, if you're comfortable, I'd love to meet you for dinner. Let me know if that sounds good to you. And we did. And at
Were
dinner,
you nervous?
I was nervous. I thought he was handsome. I liked that he worked in the medical field because that told me he gives a crap about people. He definitely made me laugh, and he had been married before, so he understood. I think, that I thought that was a little bit important to me. Have you walked through that? Are you a commitment phobe?
Yeah,
there's all kinds out there, and that's all good if that's you, but I don't know if it was right for me. So
that's a good point that you bring up. Like, so many people are like, oh, but this person's been divorced. That is, to me, I'm not a dater, but to me that wouldn't be something that's like a turn off. Okay, so you're not afraid of commitment. You have given it a go. Something didn't work out there, and I'm sure everybody has their own story, but I feel like that, I don't know, I would be more concerned for somebody who hadn't been married before at our age.
Yes.
I would be like, I hope you've lived a little bit and have some sort of commitment story.
I think that
contribute.
That is something that is I would have looked for at minimum. That doesn't mean that, listen, you maybe you just didn't meet the right person. It wasn't the right time. That happens. I get it. For me, I just felt it was like, okay, he's walked through some stuff. Yeah. And at this point in my life, I need people who have walked through some stuff. Yeah. Because we'll come with at this age, we come with our own baggage. Yeah. So how have you worked through yours? And I'll let you know how I've worked through mine. We met for dinner. He brought me a piece of his artwork, and he has a symbolic feature on all of his artwork that he makes with magnolia leaves in their hearts. And he brought me a piece of artwork that had 3 hearts on it. And he says, here, I brought you this because I know you're a household of 3 hearts. Oh. Yeah, it was very sweet. I'm like, okay, he's got my attention. He's a romantical. He's romantical. And I wasn't sure. I'm like, I don't know if he's my type, but he's a wonderful dialoguist. Dinner's wonderful. And then all of a sudden, they're closing. The restaurant's closing. We were shutting it down. And I was like, I really want to see this guy again. And I also want to kiss him. Can I kiss? No, I should kiss. I should kiss him. No, I should kiss him. And I kissed him, and he's like, "Whoa, oh, okay." And he just like was very, he was very respectful about it. But was like, I just literally went in, and he did not turn me down. And in that one tiny little kiss, I was like, he's gonna be a really good kisser, I can tell. Oh my god! And then that's it. I couldn't stop talking to him. He was just clearly. It became clear that he was the one I was supposed to grow up and discover myself so I could find him and he could find me.
That's special.
And so all the time, you know, he often says, you know, thank you for finding me. And I say, and I always say, thank you for waiting for me. Because, you know, there wasn't a time. I'm really grateful that life played out in a way that it was hard. I cried a lot. There were many nights and days where I wish I had someone to just, I handled my stuff, and I handled it very well, being a household of just myself. But there are, of course, days where I wish I could have rested my head on a partner. Yeah. And I got him. And I'm grateful. And it can happen at any stage in life. And I do think sometimes we got to clear the clutter to find it.
For sure. I know he's sitting right here, but I'm
going to pretend to blush. I'm
going to pretend he's not for a second.
I'll leave you with this, though.
Yeah.
You asked me if I was on his radar.
Yeah.
So about 3 months into dating, I said, so, you know, if my profile had crossed your desk, would you have like swiped right on me? Whatever. And he was like, yeah, so your profile did cross my desk. And I just looked at him and I was like, you swiped left. And he's like, I didn't think you would be interesting me. Like, you're sitting there looking effortless in a vineyard in Napa, and then you're on a paddleboard looking all glamorous, and then by fire. He's like, I thought you would never pay attention to me. I thought you were out of my range. And I was like, oh, you know what? That says a lot about like dating and online dating. Like, it's just painful. So I say, throw yourself in the fire, figure it out later.
Okay, I know you don't have a microphone, but I have so many questions. When she messaged you, did you recognize her from like, oh, that's that girl that I would.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, that's that beautiful woman.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute.
And she's messaging me?
No, wait. Are you asking him if he recognized me from TV?
Well, that was my second question.
No, okay, you're right.
But no,
okay.
if you recognize like that profile that you said left, now she's not gonna be interested, and then she messages you, and you're like, oh shit, she's interested.
I did not recognize her.
But from TV. So that's what I was going to ask too. If you had recognized any of her work, or did you put that on your profile? No. It was just like if somebody.
I put the name of my production company. So he thought I was either a producer or he said a high-end real estate agent from the OC. He's like, either way.
That's incredible.
No, he didn't recognize me. And, but it was, you know, what was a real grateful moment is, so of course I became like a 17-year-old hiding him. You know, like making dates with him and stuff without telling my daughter what I was doing.
So they didn't know.
Yeah. No. Well, remember my son was in college. My daughter was getting ready to go off to college. And I was like, they don't need to be in my business. I'm an adult.
Right.
You know, I didn't know who I'm out with. And of course, my daughter just knows too much. And she says, are you talking to somebody? And I was like, oh, shit. She busted me. I was like, yeah. She goes, I want to meet him. I was like, no. We've only been dating for 3 months. She's like, Mom, I'm not 12 and it's time.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah. She gave me, I was very grateful that my daughter, my children were never selfish about something like that. They've always wanted to see their mother happy. But they also always saw that I put priorities in place.
Yeah.
And they were always first. Yeah. And they're not selfish. They're like, you go, you first. So he literally comes in the door for dinner and my daughter's like, so where'd you go to school? Oh. And he's like, okay, well, like 40 years ago, I went to high school in Georgia.
She's all sorry. I've never been on this side of the table before.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Did you play any sports? And he's like, well, like 45 years ago, I skateboarded, but yes. So they bonded over like kind of skateboards and, you know, things like that. And she said, you know what? He's nothing like your type. And I like that.
Oh, good.
And we are a lovely family.
Oh,
I'm so grateful for my family.
Special.
Yeah.
That's very special.
Thank you.
Diana Riva, we're going to move into, I play a voicemail message because I put a phone number out there for anybody who wants to call and tell us what they're grateful for. So we're going to listen to a message of somebody telling us what they're grateful for.
Okay.
But before we do, you have so many TV projects, movie projects that you've been a part of that I'm sure you're so grateful for. But is there one that stands out to you that you're just like, oh, this was such an amazing experience. It was one of my favorites. It was whatever it may be. I have one for you that's not even where I met. Like, I love that memory for us, but I have one of your projects that I just love, but I would love to hear what of all the things that you've participated in your career that you're like, this was special.
Oh boy. There are 3 off the top of my 3.5, 4. Yeah, that's a problem. And so if I were to pick one, because they were fulfilling and special because of one reason or the other.
Mm-hmm, sure.
So only one?
No, say your 3.
Okay.
Say your 3.
Well, Dead to me was the most gratifying in character play, because I didn't know when I started the series where my character was going to end up and all that was going to be divulged about her. So as far as an actor, to find out as new seasons come, oh, by the way, you identify in the LGBTQ community and you're an emotional train wreck. Oh, really? That was gratifying as an actor to dive in and play all those wonderful things that I didn't know I was going to play. And it challenged me. Yeah. Love that. Telenovela with Eva Longoria was truly one of the most brilliant shows I've ever been a part of, and was one of the biggest mistakes of not being brought back after a second season. Now, that was 2015. I feel like if it were today, I felt like it would go. That was just such an ensemble group of fun that I wish they would just allow us to just recreate. So that, I think, for the most fun and the best ensemble, that one. Gordita Chronicles rang my
that's the one.
Touched into my soul.
That's the one.
Yeah,
I just got the goosies right.
Yes, I feel like in that one there was a combination of artistically gratifying, spiritually gratifying, because it was my history, it was my ancestors, I just felt like my grandmother, my mommy and papito were just cheering me on with that one in the heavens. And every summer of my childhood, every single summer of my childhood, all the way through college, was spent in the Dominican Republic. And I just felt like I was honoring my El País de mi Gente, and letting them know how grateful I am to be a descendant and a first-generation Latina, and who's now representing on television a beautiful story of immigrants coming to this country in search of the American dream. So I'm really, really proud of that show.
That was such a good show. It was so lovely. The characters, the story, and the young actress. What was her name?
Olivia.
That was her first.
They plucked that girl out of Boston, like off the playground. It was literally like, I think
good.
She was because she was playing authentically her. Zoe Saldaña went to someone that she knew in Boston, said, "Hey, we're looking for this da da da," and this, I think he was a music producer, said, "You know what? My brother's ex-girlfriend's uncle has a daughter that's da da. She fits this." You know, it was something like that. And they found Olivia Gonsalves in Boston, and she was just a gem. She's just a gem. And it was one of the most glorious times. We shot in Puerto Rico, had the most fun time of our lives. Juan Javier is who played my husband, is truly one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. He was great. Savannah Nicole Ruiz, who played my other daughter. It was just glorious.
Yeah.
It was glorious.
Such a good show. And if you guys weren't lucky enough to watch it when it came out, it's one season, but it's now on Tubi, right?
It is on Tubi, and it's on Disney Plus and Disney Plus Hulu.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That was a dream come true, that it was resurrected. That one season is resurrected, and you can find it now.
Yeah. So you can find it now. It's such a good show. It's so heartwarming, so funny, so charming. Just, you'll feel good after every episode. So check out that one, please. Well, Danielle.
Yes.
Do you have a voicemail for us ready to go? Tell everybody the phone number for those
you want me
listening.
To do that first?
Yeah.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want me to jingle it?
Ooh, say it and jingle it. Just say it, but then you got to hear this jingle.
Okay.
My most recent guest before you, a guy named Gabe Gibbs, came from Broadway, and he is a funny stand-up. He writes music. He's hilarious. He wrote me a jingle for my
my gosh, I
voicemail.
love that.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the phone number, and then play the jingle.
Yes, the phone number to leave your own gratitude is 747-300-5380. Also remember to say your name.
Oh, yeah.
we
Tell us who
know-
you are.
Tell us who you are. And if you need that phone number again, listen to this.
747-300-5380. Give us a call. Ooh, yeah.
That had a little bit of Rent
Yeah.
with an insurance company on,
Yes.
on prime time
Yeah, with a little bit of sauce.
with a little bit of sauce on the end. That's so good.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, now play us our
Okay.
message for today.
Here's our voicemail for today.
Hi, Angela. First of all, I want to just tell you how awesome you are. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. You are fantastic. Keep rocking, girl.
Thank you.
I am thankful for many things in my life, especially all the struggles and traumas that I went through as a kid. For my mom, you know, being a single mom of 4, parents divorcing and all that, because it has built me as a strong, resilient woman.
Yeah.
Man.
That now I have admire her for everything she did for my siblings and I. So I just wanted to share that, and I wanted to thank you once again for this opportunity. Love you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Love you.
That is so. You know what? It warms my heart to hear her say that, because there are moments where I'll say to my son, I mean, I taught my son how to tie a tie watching a YouTube video. You know, being from the Midwest, I taught both my kids how to mow the lawn. I was like, if you can afford a gardener, you can go ahead and get you one.
Yeah.
But you're going to cut your own grass if you can. And I just remembered, I will still say to my son, who's 23, and he's just a beautiful young man doing so well in life. Every once in a while, I say, I hope I gave you as much as you needed. And he said, everything I needed, I got from you. And to hear that young woman just talk about what she got from her mother, warms my heart and makes me feel so good to hear that. I say when my daughter's feeling very questionable about her life or self-doubts or whatever, I'll say, you are a Riva. Where are your feet? And she knows to answer me with rooted in resilience. And if that's all we can leave them with, because we won't be there forever. That's what you want to know. You want to know that they grow up to be at this point, like the young lady who left the message, saying that they feel they got what they needed. And they feel empowered.
And also to say, she started off with, I'm grateful for my traumas and the things that I went through.
That's huge.
That is huge, to be able to look back and see how these hard things that you went through helped make you who you are today with that resilience. And it's, you know, kind of in line with what I would say to people, like, do you and do you well, because you are the only you. You're the only person. Sure, somebody may look like you. Like I talk about when we go into these auditions in Latina role, like, oh, great, I'm a dime a dozen. Cool. That's fun, you know? But really, nobody has my childhood.
That's right.
Nobody has my parents. Nobody has my traumas. Nobody has the time my best friend died when she was 8 years old in a car accident. Nobody has the time when I got stung by a bee. And nobody has the time, blah, 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 blah. All these things that make you in your own perspective and your own personality. They have shaped who you are. They have shaped the way you respond to certain situations.
Absolutely.
All of that, to be able to look back and say, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of these things, is a powerful place to be. So shout out to our caller. I missed her name.
She didn't say it.
She didn't say it. Oh, that's why we said, say your name, please. Got it. Okay, so shout out to our caller for your resilience and your ability to be able to be grateful for tough things.
That's a lifelong journey. So the fact that she's able to connect with that now is astounding, and it's wonderful.
Yep.
It's wonderful.
Diana Maria Riva, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on my podcast, sharing your life, your stories with me, with our listeners. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
You are undeniably talented and a amazing human being that I am so grateful for, and I'm just really grateful that you're in my life, and I love you a lot.
I feel exactly the same way, and I love you, and you are beautiful inside and out.
Thank you, friend.
All the time, no matter what.
Thank you, friend.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you, Angelica.
Yeah. Bye.